Welcome to the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver, brought to you by Arlo Revolution. Each week, Aaron connects melodies and memories with fans and artists from all genres of life. When all else in life is gone, only music will be left to leave the legacy of life's adventures. Please welcome your host for the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, Aaron Shriver.
Let's hope everything's going to work tonight, right? What's up, everybody? All right, so we are gonna go ahead and get everybody in. If you can hear me okay, please drop in the chat where you're from tonight. I'd like to see where everybody's tuning in tonight. We have 27 viewers as of now. Let's go ahead, share that stream, get some people in. Let's go. But welcome to season 3 of the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, a place where we connect melodies and memories with both fans, artists, and some of the most interesting people in and around the music community. I'm your host, Aaron Shriver. Tonight, we're presented by our good friends over at Arlo Revolution, cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. You can find them over at arlorevolution.com. And as always, our on-screen sponsors, Art on a Higher Wire by Joel, and the Corey Oliphant, right? No, Corey Oliphant, the original church choir. We're so happy to have them every week with us as our on-screen sponsors. Look at this, we're getting... Ooh, we got a Memphis. I like it when we have Memphis tuning in, man, because I definitely miss back being there. I used to live outside Memphis, and that's kind of part where the podcast got its name from. So really cool to have you guys tuning in tonight out of Massachusetts, Washington, a lot of places. So, all right, guys, if you guys are looking for ways to support the show tonight or any of the week, our heart and soul is our Patreon. Tiers start just over at $1. Our current goal is 100 Patreons. We're about 33 Patreons away from that goal. And once we reach it, which I hope it's going to be around Christmas or so, I got something really cool we're going to give away. But we currently do have room for 2 more on-screen sponsors. So if you guys are looking to get your logo seen, you could throw it on the screen weekly. We are seen all over Facebook. And if you are, if you something Patreon, something you can't do, find us anywhere. We are all over the place. You can like, share, subscribe to the feed. And if you're listening to this back on the streaming side of things on Apple, iHeart, any of that, join us on Tuesday nights. Normally, tonight's a Monday. I know it's a little off, but Tuesday nights we're live at 7 o'clock every Tuesday, and it's interactive. So you could kind of come in, talk to the guests, ask them questions. We get them to play a couple of songs and just really dig into their career. So it's gonna be a fun time. So if you guys can hit that share button for us, get some people in, and join us live if you can. So. But tonight's going to be a fun night. I do want to go ahead and tell you that our Patreon drawing was supposed to be on tonight for the awards or the prize, but we're going to push it back to next week since we had to move the date of the show. I kind of didn't get everything ready. So you have one more week to join in for the October giveaway on our Patreon. It's a Mitch Roselle t-shirt, a Divine Devils autographed book by Jeremy Spillman, amazing book, as well as a $25 Chief merch gift card. So make sure you guys get on there. $5 gets you in on the monthly drawing. You can't miss that. So if I do sound a little hoarse or a little just like running a mile a minute, this is my 3rd show in 6 days. I was off work all last week, just crazy stuff. I'm going back tomorrow, so which I'm very excited to. But it's just been crazy week. So I'm glad to be back to work tomorrow and back on our show. But it's been fun. But our last announcement before we go ahead and bring on our guest and everything else, will stand next to me. We're going to get him eventually on camera and mic eventually and help me out, run around. Tonight is just a little dry run, but JC, my buddy Jason, he's going to say, here he is. He joined me tonight as co-producer of the show. If you guys have tuned in over the last couple of episodes, there has been some stuff where we've had some audio issues. So I had to finally hire someone and bring someone in to really give me a hand and help me out with this and make sure it sounds good for everybody on the other end. I can't do everything at once. So, but I'm ready to get into the show. I don't know about you guys, but a couple years ago, probably about 5 years ago, I was at the Rave Eagles Ballroom in Milwaukee. And this is the first time I saw tonight's guest. And I had a 1-year-old at home. And I know he had a young child at the time. I think he only had one at the time. I only had one at the time. And it was cool. We got to talk a little bit backstage and just really talk kind of like dad stuff. And it was neat because my one thing was worried about my kids growing too fast. And he was kind of talking to me and telling me just different advice, dad advice, I guess. And ever since then, I really wanted to finish our conversation because it was just a really quick thing. He had to get on stage and we were just doing things. I think I was doing photos for Lewis Price at the night. So tonight we're going to get to continue that conversation a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and bring Mr. Craig Campbell in. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in. What's up, buddy? How you doing? You hear us all right?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
There you go. I can hear you now. Yeah, there we go. My buddy Tyler's in the chat too. He was there that night to Milwaukee. Cheers, man. How are you doing tonight?
What am I?
Week.
Nothing, man. Nothing going on. It's Monday. I got my Trump 2020 socks on. I'm ready for tomorrow. So that's about it.
It's gonna be a wild week. I know we originally were scheduled Wednesday, but you got a charity event down in Nashville now, or downtown, right? On Wednesday night.
Yeah, I got invited by a friend of mine, an amazing songwriter, amazing singer, a fellow Georgia boy. His name's Ray Fulcher.
Yeah, I did.
He invited me to be a part of this event they're having for Folds of Honor at Whiskey Row. Yeah. And I'm a fan of Ray, and he's a buddy. And anytime he says, he calls, and if I'm available, I'm in. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. The lineup is incredible. Matt Stell is on there, and he's got. Yeah. So it's gonna be a good night. Hopefully, we raise a lot of money.
Yeah, Ray's definitely is a friend of the shows, and we're looking forward to hopefully having him down the show down the road. But yeah, man, it sounds like a great time. So, what got you into music, man? Where did your music come from? What were you listening to when you were a kid growing up?
Well, when I was a kid, when I was, it was Southern gospel. We had 2 or 3 of those little bitty radios throughout the house. One in the garage, one in the back room where my mama put on her makeup. It was always on a Southern gospel station. So I grew up listening to just quartets, the McCameys, the Inspirations, the Cathedrals, Kingsman, Gold City, all those guys. That was my earliest memories of music. But then when my brother got his driver's license and he started taking us to school, that's when I got exposed to
Magic happens in the car.
early 90s country music. My life was changed right then and there.
Yeah, I think 90s country, 90s music as all. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about it. I think this 90s music overall has been the best in any genre. I mean, if you look at hip hop, alternative, that's where Nirvana came from. Everybody came from the 90s, dude.
I think people ask, is like, are you familiar with this? And I was like, no, I don't know much. I was like, I really just, all I listened to was country music, except there were 2 exceptions in my the music that I listened to growing up. I was a big Snoop Dogg fan. I was also a big Boyz II Men fan.
Dude, I like the Boyz II Men now.
All 24/7, except the occasional Doggy Style record and Boyz II Men album that I had playing every now and again.
So you lost your dad at a young age. He was only 36 when he passed, and he had cancer, right?
Yes, it was colon cancer.
Now, were you were 11 at the time? How was that on an 11-year-old? Because just thinking about it, I know we had Mitch Roselle last week. I was talking to him, and he lost his dad when he was 10. But his dad left him this journal. And he said it's his most prized possession because he just wrote these little notes in it. And actually, it made me go out and buy one for my kid, because you never know what's going to happen or what tomorrow is going to bring. So now I got journals. I'll actually write like, hey, today you elbow dropped your kid your brother in the mouth and he's bleeding all over the place or something. Just write little notes in this journal now, and I'll save back. But what was your earliest memories you had with your dad?
Honestly, I don't have many. He and my mom divorced when I was a baby. So I only got to really see him every other weekend. He taught me how to swim. I remember that. Him throwing me out into the middle of the creek and basically saying,
swim back.
Swimmer, you ain't gonna make it, And, I remember I got a few memories.
What was his music like? His music background, like when you were hanging out with your dad, what was he listening to?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember it.
That's why you always have those early memories of those old songs and everything. But yeah, man, I actually was asking if there's any pictures of you and your dad. I was looking to try to find one. He said there was one, not many. Because you said your dad divorced, they divorced, and you didn't spend much time with them. But who was raising you when you were young?
My mama got custody, I guess, and then she met my stepdad when I was 7, and he
All
was
right.
a big deal in my life. He kept me, if it weren't for him, I'd probably either be dead or in prison somewhere. So he straightened me out pretty good. I was a bad kid, but he came into my life at the right time.
Come on now, none of us were ever bad kids. We weren't bad kids. We were adventurous. That's what we called it, adventure. So you got to Nashville probably what 2002 ish, right? And you were when you first got there, you were a piano player, and you were just a musician or in bands around town, weren't you? Or what were you doing when you first moved to Nashville?
When I first moved to town, I was it was just easier to introduce myself to other singers as a piano player because if you came into Nashville and said, "Hey, I'm a singer," it's just you're one in a 10
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
I was able to make a living playing piano for other people for a long time, and it ended up being a good thing. I was fortunately I had the skill of playing piano so that I could move to town and start making money playing music because that was the goal, just to move to Nashville,
Yeah.
play.
Get there. Oh, do we lose? Oh, I was gonna say, did we lose you? Are you there?
No, am I?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
I thought the audio was going in and out. But yeah, so you got hooked up with, was it Tracy Bird first?
No, actually, I started playing for Luke Bryan first.
Okay, but I knew it was those two that you were playing with. I just didn't know which one was what came first.
Played piano before Luke had a record deal, and then he he sat me down one day and said, "Look, you don't need to be a sideman to anybody. You're too good." He's like, "I'm going to introduce you to some people that I know," and um, he took me under his wing for a brief minute and helped me out a pretty good bit. And then not long after that, I got the call to play for Tracy Bird, and
Nice.
I wanted to play for Tracy because I was a huge fan, but I also wanted to learn. I wanted to learn what it was like.
Well, 90s country. I mean, Tracy Bird was right there up your alley. So it sounds like Luke Bryan was doing that a lot though for people because didn't Cole Swindell work with Luke at one point too?
Cole was selling merch for him for a while.
You were playing piano, Cole was working the merch.
And
Billy Currington had his single on the radio, probably.
Yeah, that was about the same time.
I remember one of the first times I saw Luke Bryan, he actually opened up for Eric Church in Memphis, probably 2007 on Beale Street. And right after that, Luke Bryan just blew up.
Yeah, a lot of people knew, and I knew when I was playing piano for him before he had his record deal. I was like, this guy's going to be something. He's definitely he is born to entertain and born to write songs and just he's awesome. So I knew back then he was going to be Luke Bryan.
But he knew talent though. I mean, cause like he said, he picked you out and Cole Swindell. But that's awesome to see other artists are just saying, "Hey, man, yeah, you could keep rolling with me, but you need to be doing your own thing." And so you started doing your own thing. And when did your first album came out? Your first, well, it wasn't EP. You had your first real album.
First full length.
Yeah, the full one.
Spring 2011.
2011.
Had Family Man, Fish, When I Get It, and a couple other songs on there.
So when you first wrote Family, that's what I was going to go into. When you first wrote Family Man, what were you thinking? Because that was right after you found out you were going to be a dad, right?
Yeah, it was. It was either for the longest time, me and Mindy, my wife, we had was each other to take care of, and we'd always talked about the music business because it wasn't a guarantee; it was a gamble. It was probably the biggest gamble anybody could make is to put everything on hold, in the hopes that you'll get a record deal. Chances are always pretty slim. So we had reached that point of like, either shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
And we had come to that crossroads of either the music business has to work or I got to go out and get a real job. And right about that same time, I found out she was pregnant, and it rocked my world in a good way, because I started writing songs and I was super focused on what I wanted to do, and to be able to make money and be successful and provide for my family with music.
Yeah.
So
did you meet your wife in Nashville, or did you guys move to Nashville together?
No, she's from Colorado. I knew her before I moved to Nashville, because I had a band before I moved to Nashville, and we played all over the United States. And my bass player, he lived here in Nashville, and he dated her roommate.
There you go.
I knew who he was. He was
So
always
like, hey, hook me up with your roommate, right?
always unavailable.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
I found a window of her being available, and I took it.
You probably always had the interest, and you're just ready to move in. That's how it goes. So that's good that you guys met there, and she was just such a huge supporter down there. So when Family Man came out, when you first wrote it, I remember when it first hit the radio, and it was just something different, because you're saying you're a fan of 90s country. And when I first heard of Craig Campbell, I thought you were like, okay, this guy's from the 90s. But I'm like, oh, wait, no, he's only a couple years older than me. Okay. I heard that, like, that background of you, and I think that's what really got me digging into it. But I liked the fact that you were singing not just about your typical country music that you hear every day. You're actually singing about real life stuff and about being a family man. When that song first starts off talking about working all these hours, not many people are really forgetting about that. And when I think about country music, like the country music I was raised on that I love, it was always sad, or it had problems. Like, it wasn't all this happy sitting on tailgates and drinking beer. We love doing that, but we have, everybody in life has real life problems. And for you, or for someone to sing about them, it's finally a breath of fresh air sometimes, because it gets us feeling like, all right, we're not the only ones in the world. So first off, thanks for Family Man, because that song to me just really meant a whole different world. So we're going to get to hear it later on. But when you wrote that and kind of came out with the album, where were you in, like, your career? Do you think, like, you were kind of taking off, or do you still have some struggles?
When I wrote Family Man?
Yeah, or like when your first album came out, like, where were you sitting? Were you kind of thinking or you still had some stuff you had to work on, you think?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, there's always something.
Yeah, you never stopped working.
At that moment, the record deal that I signed, it was a prototype of a record deal, if you will. It was that nobody had ever done before with a partnership. I was not necessarily signed to a record deal. It was more of a 50-50 partnership. And what that meant was every penny that I made went into the LLC that we had together. And so, without getting too deep with it, I was basically on salary. I immediately got put on salary.
Yeah.
When my music hit the radio, and it was a blessing. It was a blessing not to have to worry about it. I was getting a flat fee every month. We were paying, doing cool stuff, and it wasn't a bad situation. Now, fast forward, it wasn't that great of a situation, which is one of the reasons that record label closed. But at that moment, no, we were living good.
When you first, how far or how high up did Family Man go on the charts? Was it like 30s or?
I went to number 12.
12. Wow. It was the second single went to 30, right?
Second single, Fish, went to 23.
Yeah, okay, that was what I was thinking. Because Fish, that was a fun one. That was always a good tune. Listen to Fish, but let's see, where am I at? I lost. Sorry, I kind of was trying to follow where I was at. Yeah, with the success of Family Man, though, you got on some pretty big tours. I thought I saw one where you were opening up, but you went back out with Luke Bryan eventually, though. How was something like that? So once you were working with this guy and then going back out on tour with him as the actual artist, how was that for you?
Oh, it was great.
just kind of like, because that had to feel accomplished.
Full circle, knowing Luke and being friends and writing songs with his guitar player, Michael Carter, and just being real close with those guys for a long time, being in his band, and then being able to open his shows was a pretty awesome, and I was fortunate to be able to do that. I think we did like 13 or 14 shows that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I was gonna say that's probably where you got probably a good following too, because you have a pretty good following, and I think that's one thing, grassroots or fan base, you got to have, especially now these days with the world going digital, because everything's being streamed and record sales are so crazy. But with songwriters now, how do you feel like songwriters are being taken care of? 'Cause I know last couple of years things have been changing with songwriters. Do you think it's getting better for them or for you and for yourself?
It's going to be changes being made in the songwriting world. Nowadays, it's a different game. Like it used to be, where you had to be a writer on the song just to be able to make money, because nobody was selling records when the single download world was introduced, where you could buy one song and don't have to buy the record. Now, streaming come into play. So the game has changed as far as not necessarily worrying about writing the song, but owning the masters, which means owning the actual recording of the song. That's, for me, is the name of the game. And that's why I'm independent these days, because
Did you get involved in anything with that?
I figured out how much money Broken Bow made last year off of me, and I was disgusted that I never saw a dime of it. So that's why we parted ways.
Oh yeah, I know. Another one of my past guest, Tucker Buthard, he went through a lot of the same thing with his former record label, and he said he pretty much had to go broke, and he finally got to the point after everything was said and done where he was able to get his songs back. He just couldn't get his masters back, so he just had to re-record it all. But he's like, man, everything I had. He goes, I put everything I had into it, because then it was funny because next someone asked him, they're like, well, hey, we looked on your independent album, you're playing every instrument. Why is that? He goes, I was broke. He's like, they took everything I had. He goes, I had to play every instrument.
Yeah, I get it, man. The new song that I'm going to release, we basically did everything via the internet. Like I tracked the bass and the drums through the internet. With COVID and with trying to make sure we do it economically, I sang all my own harmonies, co-producing, all that stuff. So I get it 100%.
I was going to ask you, how has this year been for you this year? Has this been trying? I mean, you're still playing a few shows here and there. I've seen you got a couple coming up this weekend. You did a drive-in show I saw, but and I'm sure that's been in our world for you. But this year for you, how has it been?
Well, the summer was all jacked up. We got all of our shows got canceled or moved. But since August, man, I've been doing well. I've just been doing a lot of shows by myself, me and my guitar, showing up, playing, and it hasn't been bad. But normally about this time of the year, I start slowing down because I try to make sure I carve out time for my family during the holidays, but I haven't been able to make that money throughout the course of the year. So I'm having to I got to keep taking the opportunities that are presented with me, no matter what time of the year it is.
Yeah.
It's been weird, but hey, we're powering through.
Because definitely, I was gonna say, being an independent now, you don't have that salary, that guarantee, so you gotta still struggle. I know another artist that was, has a couple big hits out there. He's actually just took a 9-to-5 because he's not getting anything right now. And I'm like, not a lot of people are really seeing the impact, I don't think, on this in the industry for the long run. I think the longer it runs, these venues, we're gonna lose a lot of venues. Like kind of I was talking about the Rave in Milwaukee and places like that. And you think we're going to see a lot of change over this?
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, people
will come back.
People are ready to hear some live music. And if truth be told, and if everybody was honest with each other, instead of trying to be like politically correct in the whole mask situation and all that bullshit, if they would open up these venues to the 10,000, 15,000 seats, people would show up.
Oh yeah. I was a couple weeks ago. I was out at Lynchburg Music Fest, and I think they probably had about 4,000 or 5,000 there. If you went to the pit area, you had to wear a mask. Their thing was if you were drinking, you have it down. So people just keep a drink right here and have it down, which is whatever. But
I think some of it's going to change. But at the end of the day, humans are built to interact with each other on a daily basis. And that's just that you can't stop that.
Oh, I agree. Definitely agree. And because I mean, they're gonna get any chance they can to get back together, and we're gonna do it. And I mean, that's how I feel on this whole thing is we're gonna get together and do things anyways. Just let us kind of go, and we take risks daily. We get in a car. I mean, every day we get in a car, we take a risk. So why can't we take a risk now? But
you know what?
It's just crazy. We'll see if it changes next week. No.
I feel like it comes down to personal responsibility, and that's all I'll say.
I agree. I definitely agree on that. So you did get to play a drive-in show. I did see. How was that for you, and how different? I've done 2 now. I did one yesterday, but how just of an experience is that for you, for the artist?
It's a good substitute. It definitely doesn't take the place of the real thing. But it's a stopgap. I've done a handful of drive-in shows, and they're party and do what they can, in their vehicles. But as an entertainer, we feed off of crowds, interaction and response and engagement. And when they're 40 feet away from the stage, it just you can't feed off.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's gonna be a boring show, but like. So I went and saw a couple weeks ago. I went and saw Aaron Lewis and Sully Erna from Godsmack, and they sat on stage, 2 stools, played guitar. It was an awesome experience. I got to sit in the car, hang out, watch it. But for someone that's full band out there that's needing the energy, I don't think it's gonna be the same experience at all. Because like you do say, and that's one thing as a fan, when I'm out there, I feel like you guys are the rowdier we are and louder we are, you guys are going crazy as artists. So, and you are missing that. And like last night, the show I was at, everybody's honking their horns and stuff. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, I'm not. I'm like, not the horns. Leave the horns out of it. So did you have a lot of people honking horns when you did yours?
No, not too bad.
That's good.
But I think a couple of the places I played, they were you like technically you had to be at your car, but they got out of the cars and it was awesome.
So I want to talk about real quick, just kind of circling back. We were talking about a little bit about your dad earlier, but you started, I think you're in your 8th year now, your cornhole tournament. Let's talk about a little bit about that and where that came from and just really what drove you to kind of kick that off.
Well, I wanted to do something, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something that was super unique, something that people would remember. And I looked around, and there were golf tournaments, there were free shows, there were fishing tournaments, kinds of stuff, but there was not one person having a cornhole tournament. And I just thought that was silly. But hey, good for me because I took it and ran with it. So now I'm the only cornhole tournament during CMA Fest.
That is awesome, dude. That is really cool because it's running for so long. How many years have you been doing it now?
Well, this year would have been number 8.
Oh,
we had to postpone it though. So hopefully we will be back 2021. And we've been doing
virtual cornhole tournament this year, dude. You just need to get like all these artists, have them have a board at their house and just have a virtual one, dude. No, he's like, no. What was that?
Not at all. I won't be doing that.
It just takes the fun out of it. Just like you were saying with the cars. I agree. It takes the fun out of things.
Yeah, you gotta have that banter. You gotta have that, in each other's face kind of thing. And it's hard to play cornhole virtually when you're trying to beat another person and they're 30 miles away. It just don't work. Oh,
not at all. I mean, you got to have that crap talking and drink in your hand. Because I mean, I got to have 3 or 4 drinks in before I'm even good.
That's another reason I chose cornhole. Is it First of all, you don't have to be a professional. Second of all, if you drink a little bit better. So it just worked. It made sense. It was awesome.
That is really cool, man. And it's cool because every year you give back and it's for a good cause. And you have great lineups every year when you do it. And it's always one of the biggest events of the week. Now, do you do anything else during the year for the same cause at all?
Yeah, we do. I usually do the march on Capitol Hill with Fight CRC, Fight Colorectal Cancer picture.
Nice. Yeah, my wife is an oncology nurse, so I'm always into I'm interested in what people do for cancer research and for just everything with for cancer, because it's something that's hit close to home with me. I lost my grandfather to cancer, and now my wife works with it, and she sees it every day. So I always like when I see people going a little extra and doing things for that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, we do that. We ring the bell at NASDAQ in New York City. Nice. We do the million strong march in New York City. I mean, we couldn't this year because of COVID. But and then my buddy Michael Hall, he has an event every year in Maryland. It's called Strikeout Cancer, where we bowl and we bowl and he raises money and I come and we play and. We were scheduled to do that this year. It got canceled as well. So a lot of our fundraising events got hit hard. Hopefully that'll all come back next year.
Yeah, I do hope soon we'll start seeing all that because we need to. I mean, we need to get back as a society and be doing things again. So let's see. Now, you actually play a little more unique guitar. I want you to tell me more about they're Wisconsin made. Tell me about this guitar because I heard a brief interview. You're talking about these things, but they're really interesting.
Yeah, that's the McPherson. They're handmade up in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Wisconsin. Designed by a guy named Matt McPherson, who also invented the solo cam. And is also the pioneer of the solo cam and the Matthews archery world. A lot of people don't know that the same guy that designed my guitar designed the Matthews bow.
His name is cool.
But yeah, the sound hole was right there above the strings, and he did a lot of trial and error and found that he thinks that's the sweet spot where the sound comes out of, not behind the string. It's a very unique instrument. It's a work of art the way he's got it designed, and I'm glad to play them.
Now, is that the hole on the top? Is that trademarked by them? Because I mean, that's a unique design. I don't see that very often.
If I know Matt, I would 100% believe he's got that.
All right, yeah, because that's definitely when I saw some pictures earlier and heard you talking about the guitar. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat because you don't see the hole up there very often. Now, I'm like, that's something I want to bring up and talk about tonight because unique guitars, and especially people that have them, I mean, they're not cheap guitars. So I know I've seen you, you've played a Hummingbird before too, correct?
Yeah, I played a Hummingbird when I first Hummingbird and a J200 Gibson. But when I hooked up with these guys, I just knew that not only did they make amazing instruments, they were just really, really good people. And they do amazing things for charity and missions overseas. And I'm glad to be a part of that family.
Oh yeah. What part of Wisconsin was it in? Do you know? Was it like close to Milwaukee or was it more further north?
Hey, I don't, Sparta.
You're like, I don't know, whatever. That's really cool, man. So, let's see. Another thing I want to talk about real quick that was really cool. I was kind of going through. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place because we were supposed to do this Wednesday, and I tried to really do a quick version today. But I was looking at photos, and you used to do something really cool. And let me pull a couple of these up real quick. And I like it when artists will kind of go the extra mile and do things for their fans. And we had a couple photos where it looked like you were at Walmart and you were putting CDs out and you're signing them. But when you did that, you'd also go throw them on social media and say, hey, if you find one of these, come holler at me tonight at the show. If you're coming out to the show, what would you do if they brought them to the show that night?
They get in free.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That is so cool that you would do stuff. Like, well, one of them said like would take them up on the bus for like a bus meet and greet or something. But were these random with Walmarts, like this in the towns you're at, or like would you go to the store manager and be like, hey, I want to do this, or
No, I wouldn't tell anybody. I would go in, sign the CDs, put them back, take a picture, and then post later and say, "Hey, I've signed these CDs at the Walmart," and I put the address, and I say, "If you buy these CDs, you get into the show for free."
that is so cool, man. Just to see people that would do that. I know I just saw like the other day, like Justin Timberlake did something, like he has a vinyl out in Target and he like signed 3 of them, put them back or whatever. And I'm like, and to see that you guys would go in there and do that stuff like that is just, it means a lot because for one, if I'm going through the CDs and I find one that's autographed or even a scavenger hunt, stuff like that is so damn cool. Like during the day, like have them go hide 5 meet and greets, go have fun. So but from a fan perspective, that's just amazing stuff. Wow, when they do stuff like that. I know seeing Church, he used to always do stuff like that, and you get to go up on his bus and have a shot with them, and you get like a certain number that they pull. But it was always fun where you get a little extra stuff like that as when the artist would do that.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
It was fun for me, for sure.
Yeah, just because you never know who's going to find them or where they're going to pop up at. So, you use your wife a lot in pretty much all your music videos. So talking about like scavenger hunts, like she'll pop up a lot in music videos. For you, everybody says don't mix work with pleasure, but what is it having her in your music videos means to you?
Well, for a while there, yeah, she was just doing cameos. You'd see a video and you'd have to find her, like almost like Where's Waldo kind of thing. In retrospect, there was a lot of videos she should have actually been the lead in, but for whatever reason, we chose to go a different route. But when I decided, when we were putting the treatment together for See You Try, I knew 100% she needed to be the lead for that video. And ever since then, we when we do videos, it's important to me and it's important to her that not only just her, but my girls, all of them are visible in my music and my career.
Well, that's what I love about you, man. Because I mean, going back to being the family man, you are one guy. Like a lot of artists, you'll see they'll once they're off stage, they live a very private life. You keep everybody involved. You really show like how you are in your day-to-day lives, and you are really what you sing about. You are a family man. And you bring everybody on this journey with you. And it's really cool to be able to see that and see how you bring your family along and put them in the music videos. So someone like, I know I was listening to our interview once and they're talking about kind of how like you guys spend a lot of time together, but you also are apart a lot. And you were talking about absence makes the heart grow fonder. For you being gone, what does that mean? Does that help you guys? Do you think that kind of helps hold the heart a little bit?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say it helps because I mean, we truly enjoy hanging out with each other like full time. I've heard a lot of people complaining about COVID, but especially the country music world, where we travel so much that they find this weird balance of being gone a lot, and when they're home, they can't get enough of each other. But now with COVID in place, they're like, wait a minute, this is too much. But me and Mindy are total opposite. Like I love being home. I love doing things together. Just all of that. But when I do travel, we know what the end goal is. The end goal is to be able to provide a roof and keep the lights on and food and all that, for my family. And just to be able to do that and do it with a job that I love to do.
Have you ever taken them on tour with you for like an extended period of time at all?
Say what?
Have you ever taken them out on tour with you for like an extended period of time, or have you always just kind of gone out on your own?
Not for a long time, because let's be honest, when you hop on the bus, sometimes we end up in the middle of nowhere. My girls, they've been out with me a few times. It's super boring on the road, unless we're playing like a badass festival or a place that has something for kids to do.
Yeah,
kids, they don't travel a lot, but here lately, moving forward now, and especially too, they're finally getting to an age where I don't have to really like be a mother hen. I could just like stay here, and they'll stay. They'll do what I tell them to do.
Yeah. Yeah, because you see some artists like I know Miranda had like a little Airstream or something that she was pulling behind her for a while and taking the whole family out. And it's like, yeah, I love that, but sometimes you just want to go out and do your job and get your job done and then come home with your family and just kind of do your thing too. So I always like asking people like if there are family people, if they like to bring them on the road or how they feel. So you've done some USO stuff. Tell me about that real quick. We got a couple minutes till we move on to our next segment. So a couple more things and wrap up.
I've been on one USO tour. That was a picture from that tour.
Yeah.
We go out and I spent a week with some really amazing Americans being overseas, taking care of us while we're over here getting to do what we do. Spent the week with Chris Evans, Ray Allen, and Scarlett Johansson, a couple other people on this tour. It was really awesome. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, he was with us, and just to be able to hang out with those great Americans and their families, because a lot of them had their families over there with them.
Yeah.
And to see the joy in their face when people like us showed up to build, I brought the music. Scarlett Johansson being super globally famous, and Black Widow. It was really awesome to see that we could take their minds off of what they were having to do for an hour and a half that night, and I was glad to be a part of it.
I have put this picture up here real quick of you and probably the United Center with all the Chicago Bulls stuff. I'm outside Chicago as a diehard Bulls fan in the 90s. So when you get to play these venues, these bigger venues that have these banners and stuff, for you, I mean, I think you're just doing this national anthem here, but for you, what is that like? Just being there and be able to sing in there, does that feel a little bit of accomplishment for you?
Absolutely. Anytime you can stand on a stage that you wouldn't normally be able to stand on if you didn't have the platform that you have, it would be you may or may not ever happen. So I don't take that for granted.
And then the last question I have before we move into our next segment, you had a little incident earlier this year. How's that healing up for you, man? You had a spider bite, wasn't it?
Good. I got a good, nice, big scar on the back of my arm.
Man.
I'll post a picture of it in a couple of days. I'm going to post one more big, here's my spider bite, because I still have a lot of people asking about it.
Yeah. I saw something in the chat. That's why I wanted to bring it up real quick.
This is where it started. This is where it finished. Now I got this sweet scar I got to live with for the rest of my life.
So what were you doing when it happened?
I think I was asleep. I think it was in my bed.
Jeez. Yeah. It was a brown recluse, you said? Man, dude, that is nasty. Yeah, I saw something in the chat, so I definitely want to bring it up and ask to see how it was healing up for you. So we're gonna move on real quick. We got a little game that I play. It's called Hot Seat. We ask 9 questions. We try to get through in 60 seconds. We'll see what we get. If you had to do a Crossroads episode with another artist, who would that artist be?
Adele.
Ooh, that'd be a good one. Your first cassette tape you ever owned?
Killing Time, Clint Black.
Ooh, all right. What's your hometown famous for?
Beauty pageant singer.
There you go. All right. What is one song you wish you wrote?
I Will Always Love You, Dolly Parton.
Ooh, all right. What was your first job?
Working in tobacco.
All right. Favorite vehicle you ever owned?
1987 Chevrolet Silverado.
Your favorite getaway location?
I would lay somewhere in Colorado.
All right, we got through 7. The last 2, we're gonna do one item on your bucket list that you still want, something you still want to achieve, accomplish, maybe a venue you still want to play.
I want to go to Scotland and track down my family history.
Oh, that'd be cool, man. Yeah, just kind of like, that'd be awesome. I started doing ancestry this year, and I have a lot of German just ancestors. I'm like, I would love to go to Germany and just check all that out. And then the last one, everybody was asking, or so a couple people were in the chat were saying about it. What's been your favorite Halloween costume you ever wore, and what does Halloween mean to you?
Hey, Halloween's a big deal at our house. I would say my favorite Halloween costume that I ever had was one year I dressed up as Beetlejuice, and I was I don't know what we I can't remember what the event was, but it was a performance event down at Losers in Nashville, and I dressed up as Beetlejuice, and I had my buddies put me inside a coffin. I got in this coffin, and they hoisted me and took me through the crowd in this coffin, and then they stood it up. And as they introduced me, I busted the lid open, and I was like, it was a grand entrance, and it was fun.
That is awesome. Well, I definitely want to give a huge shout out to Lindsay. She helped me set this whole thing up. Throw a picture of her up there tonight, and thank her for everything she's done. We're going to close out tonight with 2 songs real quick. First one we did talk about was Family Man, one of my favorites, and then we'll talk about the second one after that. But yeah, if you're ready now, I'll give it over to you and let you play it out.
Play it, okay?
Yeah, if you can. I'll go off the screen, and then we'll talk about the second one after that. So you guys, let's see. There we go. All right.
I've been working as a temp at the local factory. I hope they hire me on full time. I got shoes to buy and mouths to feed. I drive a buy here, pay here truck. It ain't new, but it is to me. Now it ain't much, but it fires right up and gets me from A to B. What puts the dirt underneath my nails? What keeps the calluses on my hands? Family, man. They're the world my world revolves around. My sacred piece of solid ground. The flesh and bone that gives me strength to stand. They're the fire in my driving on. The drive behind my coming home, the living, breathing reason that I am a family man. There's dirty shirts to wash, dishes in the sink to do. There's how many times to 17 go into 52. There's bedtime prayers to pray, sleep tights and I love yous. And then there's a pair of eyes I get to lose myself into. What keeps me keeping the faith? What makes me believe I can? Family, man. They're the world my world revolves around. My sacred piece of solid ground. The flesh and bone that gives me strength to stand. They're the fire in my driving on. The drive behind my coming home, the living, breathing reason that I am a family man. A family man. Ooh.
Man, dude, I don't know how that one didn't go number one. I love that song, dude. I don't know. To me, that's just a song that gets me every time I hear it. I know people are talking about Outskirts of Heaven, all these other ones. That one just hits me hard. You have one more that I put down that I wanted you to play tonight really bad. And it's one that I think was one we really talked about a couple of years ago when we talked about. And because I was a new dad, a 1-year-old, and we were just talking. And when you autographed this album for me, it said, just do Jackson, don't grow up. And like I say, he's 6 now. But you have one, When She Grows Up. Tell me about this song. Just kind of what pushed you to write this song?
Well, I got to give credit where credit is due. I got a phone call from a friend of mine. His name was Arlos Smith. Arlos, I wrote a bunch of songs with. Matter of fact, I wrote Fish with Arlos. I wrote a bunch of songs with Arlos. He called me. He says, "Man, I got me and Alex started a song called When She Grows Up, and we know that you have 2 daughters. Let me read you what we got so far." So they had a little bit of the first verse and a little bit of the chorus. They didn't have it all done. And I said, "Stop what you're doing. I'll be there in a minute." And I met up with these guys, and they already had that little bit wrote, but we finished it because I knew that's something that I wanted to say. It was perfect. It was very divine. The idea that Arlos would call me, knowing that this is something that I wanted to say. I was like, it was perfect timing.
He knew it was right up your alley.
Because I wanted this song to say that my girls at one time think I'm pretty cool, and I never want them to forget that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where that song came from.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's one that I originally heard on your one of your albums, and I was just like, I think that's probably the song that really got me hooked on you at first. And I started digging, and I'm like, oh wait, he has that song. I don't think I put 2 and 2 together at first because I wasn't into music as much as I am now at the time. But when I heard When She Grows Up, I was just like, okay, now this is the one that's touched me at home. I have 2 boys now. I have a 6-year-old and 3-year-old. But at first, when I heard that song, I was just like, all right, if I ever have him on the show, I gotta have that song. So if you don't mind closing us out tonight with When She Grows Up, man, that'd be awesome.
Look at Skylar Anderson in the house.
Oh, dude, he's a former guest. He's an amazing guy too. He just dropped a new song out.
I love me some Skylar.
Oh, dude, he's an amazing boy from Tennessee out there, Jackson.
All right,
I'll go ahead and hide myself for a little bit.
I normally play this on the piano. When I was young, I dreamed of being famous. But through the years, I left that dream behind. It's funny how things in life can change us. Like when I see her little hand in mine. Yeah, I still want to move mountains. I still want to change the world and show her no matter what happens, she's my little girl, and love lasts forever, and she'll never get too big for daddy's hugs. What she sees in me, that's what I want to be when she grows up. Now, I can't fly even if I tried forever, but in her eyes I am Superman. It's just one kiss can make a skinned up knee all better. And then she smiles and says, you're my hero, Dad. Yeah, I still want to move mountains. I still want to change the world and show her no matter what happens, she's my little girl. Love lasts forever, and she'll never get too big for daddy's hugs. What she sees in me is what I want to be when she grows up. Whoa. I still want to move mountains. I still want to change the world and show her no matter what happens, she's my little girl. And love lasts forever, and she'll never get too big for daddy's hugs. What she sees in me, that's what I want to be. Oh, what she sees in me, that's what I want to be when she grows up. When she grows up.
Man, just promise me whenever you play close to Milwaukee or Chicago, you put that on the set from now on. I love that song, man. Thank you for playing that song tonight. For me, like I said, I got two boys, but even though it's when she grows up, whenever I'm singing it, man, it's always when he grows up for me. And I love how songs can mean so much to so many people in so many different ways. And that's the one thing why I've always been as a fan of the songwriter and just the craft of the song and the way it comes out. But thank you for that song, because honestly, coming from another dad, it just, for me, it's amazing, because I think of all the things he tells me every day that he wants to do when he grows up. So I just want to make sure that he's always going to do what he wants to do. So, but Craig, thanks for taking the last hour out and spending with me. Thanks for being flexible and moving around for me too. I appreciate it, man. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck, dude. And I love that you're independent now, and I love to seeing you grow the way you've been growing the last couple of years. And I cannot wait to hear these new songs coming out. Yeah, man. Hey, and thank you for being flexible too. I know we had some mix-ups in the schedule, but we worked it out, and I appreciate you. It worked out great, man. So I always try to be ready to go, ready to roll. So, but I appreciate it, man. You be good. Take care, and I'm sure we'll probably see you next year out and about somewhere. Sounds good, man. Can't wait. All right, thank you, man. Brother. All right, guys, that was another amazing show tonight. Thank you guys so much, everybody in the chat. We had a steady 40 plus viewers tonight, which has been phenomenal. Been one of the best shows we've done lately. I'm going to go ahead and get all the audio up and about. You'll be able to hear the episode back tomorrow on all streaming platforms, YouTube, anywhere you can find the show, you'll be able to find it. If you enjoyed the show tonight, hop over to our Patreon if you can. I did share it in the link. Tiers start just at $1. Like I said, we're trying to reach up to that 100 Patreon mark. We're about 32, 33 people away. But if you can at all, hop over there, check out the different tiers, different things we offer. A lot of fun stuff. So we're coming back next week. It's going to be a fun time. Can't wait. And it's going to be a wild one. So wait till you see who we have next week.
The
We're going to have fun.
Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.